Buntree gets killed. A bunch of other Bloods get killed. Suge ends up losing death row.
Mm-hmm.
And then you guys, you get on the investigation, and you approach Keefe D, and we talked about this last time.
Mm-hmm.
And you essentially have him, on all these PCP charges, and you offer him a deal where if he confesses to all this other stuff, he won't get charged for the PCP.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but let me deal directly with that language.
Right, because I remember when I explained this to Mob James, he didn't understand how Keefe D can confess to the Tupac murders and everything else like that and not be charged, regardless of whatever deal that you put together.
Well, the guy actually confessed to his nephew killing the man.
Yeah.
Now, from what I know, if I'm with you and I commit a crime, a murder, at least I got that same case.
Correct, but what I'm saying is the way they structured that.
Yeah, that's
he was not charged with that murder. Now, if other evidence comes out later on and pins him to the murder, then that's a whole different situation. But his actual confession could not be used to
okay. Don't
actually.
You think he pinned himself and all the other people saying that they saw him and he this and that, and not only that he said he did it, he puts himself there. So if I say I saw him, I can't be lying because he put himself there. It's
a tricky situation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if he win, oh well.
So yeah, we built this federal case against him with serious consequences if he were to go to trial and be convicted. And his lawyer recognized the dire straits that he was in, and so we said, "Here's we'd like to sit down. We'd like to interview Keefe D." Of course, the arrangement is that if we do sit down and interview him, he has to be open and honest about every answer that he gives us, regardless of what the matter is. And with that in mind, he would get consideration on the charges or the sentencing of what was pending. And so Keefe D recognizes, like, the best thing I can do for myself is to sit down and work out a deal with the government. And so we do this thing, it's called a proffer session. Some people refer to it as Queen for a Day, but the agreement is that you sit down and you can't self-incriminate. Or at least if you do self-incriminate, your statement can't be used against you. And so Keefe D could sit down and admit to being involved in a murder conspiracy without any fear of his own statements being used against him. That's part of the agreement to get him to cooperate. And that's just the way it's done. It happens every day in courts all across America. It's another way of advancing a stymied investigation, or to ensure the success of a prosecution.
Well, at the time that Keefe D confessed to you guys, Orlando was dead. And what about the other two people in the car?
At the time he confessed, Orlando, his nephew, is dead, who he identifies as the actual shooter. DeAndre Smith is also dead, died of natural causes some years before. He was in the backseat with Orlando. He was actually in the closest position to Tupac. And then the driver, a guy named Terrence Brown, they called him Bubble Up, he was still alive at this time.
Okay, so the question is, now that you get this confession from Keefe D, why not go arrest the driver?
Well, we wanted to go and investigate him and basically develop the same type of scenario against him that we were going to do with Keefe D, get him into a situation where he'd be compelled to talk. Right now, your evidence is Keefe D is saying that you were the getaway driver, that you're part of the four-man conspiracy to go commit this murder. And that's not a strong prosecution. Your star witness, only witness, is a convicted drug-dealing gang member. So, we have to build more evidence if we're going to try to prosecute this guy. So, ultimately, we tell Las Vegas PD what we have and what Keefe D has said. And my hopes are that they'll put a full court press into the investigation into Terrence Brown. but because they're geographically, they're geographically unavailable to be out here in Los Angeles, because at this point in time, Terrence Brown is dealing dope on the corners of Compton, and nobody puts the effort into getting him.
You guys couldn't go question him or anything else like that?
Yeah, we did, but at the same time, there's this consideration: do we play our hand yet? Let's build a case.
Okay, but you guys actually questioned Terrence Brown.
He was, I didn't personally, but he was questioned. Yeah, he was interviewed. As a matter of fact, he was interviewed back in 1996 or 97 by LAPD detectives in regard to his involvement in Las Vegas. And of course, they find he claims he wasn't in Vegas, but they find a backpack with postcards from Las Vegas dated the time that Tupac was shot. So
who the hell buys postcards?
yeah, well, 1995, 96,
all
97.
right.
So.
Wow. Okay, that's one way to put a hole in your story.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys are trying to build a case against Terrence.
That was the intention.
The intention, but that never happens.
No, I ended up getting removed from the task force. It loses its momentum. Unfortunately, Las Vegas doesn't take the initiative to aggressively pursue Terrence, and here we are.
Terrence ends up dying some years later.
Terrence ends up dying in a like weed dispensary robbery.
Wow.
Yeah.